Marketing is all about creating a consistent and known identity, a brand identity, if you will. Unfortunately, clubs, unlike other nonprofits, are constantly engaged in reinventing the wheel because their members and their leadership is constantly turning over, and next year's membership and leadership may have very different skill levels when it comes to creating posters, or they may have great skills, but they have a totally different vision of what they see the club's promotions should look like. The result is inconsistency, and you never quite get to build that identity year over year. Luckily, there's one simple solution for all these problems: templates. I cannot stress it enough, make templates. So how do you make a template? Well, first step is when you're creating original pamphlets, posters, social media posts, whatever, have the long term in mind. This means doing things like picking your colors intentionally. For example, making sure that they're accessible, that they're easy on the eyes. And pro tip, this won't just be good for your audience who has sight impairments, but it'll be easier on everybody's eyes. I've linked a bunch of free resources for how you can make sure your promotional material is accessible in terms of the color, the font, etc. But these kinds of considerations, even though you're flying by the seat of the pants, you're doing it so quickly, always think long term when you're creating something new. So that's step number one. And you can do it free and you can do it quickly, and I've linked the resources below. So step number two is when you save it, so save one copy, which will be the file for now, for this 101 week. We'll use this flyer, but then save another copy with the name and then underscore template, or 101 week flyer underscore template, what have you, right? Now, in this file, the next step is to keep everything consistent that you want to remain consistent. So the club name should be consistent, maybe the club mandate should be consistent, but things like the date, time, location, specific things you're doing there, if you've got a contest going or your next upcoming event, these kinds of things, they're liable to change every year. So rather than leave the writing there, instead create instructions for what goes there. So this is how I want you to fill in the date. This is how I want you to fill in the time. This is the format for the location. This is where the description for next year's event goes. Feel free to include lots of guidance and instruction. If it doesn't fit in the document itself, use comment features. If it's Microsoft Word, use comment features to give people instructions of how to fill in this poster, how to fill in the flyer, or what have you. Right? This is a great way to get around potential skill gaps between this year and next year, because it's essentially them just filling in the blanks. Now, if they are particularly creative, they can always build on the template, right? But the starting point is something common. There's continuity. There's a through line. There's a thread from year to year of a growing brand identity, right? Just because it's consistent doesn't mean it has to be static. Now, if you're particularly tech savvy or technologically inclined, you may be interested in creating file types that are actually templates, right? Not just the same kind of file, but there are lots of instructions and they should just fill in the blanks. But there are actually file types in Microsoft Word, Publisher, PowerPoint, etc. that are templates. Now, I've linked some resources, some articles below in the text version of this video on how to create those templates. But don't worry, if you're not tech inclined, you absolutely don't need to create special file types. A good template is just a file that includes instructions and is basically a fill in the blanks for future years. If you implement just a few of these practices, if you create templates with just a few of the details I've mentioned, you'll be well on your way to a consistent and therefore effective marketing promotional brand identity year over year.